let's do a bit more with our image with layers, selections, and some color. So what I want to do is make a background color behind my character. So I'm going to select the background layer, which is white at the moment, and I'm going to make a new layer. So down here along the bottom of our layers toolbar is a little rectangle with a curled up corner. It's the new layer. So I'm going to click on it and it creates a new layer. And I might choose a color blue. So I'm going to double click and type the name there so I know what's on that layer. And I'm going to use the paint bucket. Paint bucket's over here on the left. As you notice with these tools on the left, if you click on that arrow or hold down on the arrow in the bottom right corner, there's other options for those tools. So if you can't see the paint bucket, it'll be under the gradient. If you can't see the paint bucket, it'll be under the gradient tool. So now I've selected paint bucket, I'm going to choose a blue color for the background. Up here on my swatches toolbar, I'm going for a pale color so that the rest can stand out from it, and making sure that my blue layer is selected, I just drop that in there. As you can see, it's transparent behind the face of the cartoon character, and so it appears through there as well. Just very quickly, I'll make a new layer, and this one I'm going to make orange. Make sure that layer is selected. I've got the paint bucket. I'm getting a pale orange color, and I drop it in there. So as you can see, I've created two layers. I can turn them on and off, and I can also drag them and change the layer order, which is very useful as we go on. So that's something about layers and something about the paint bucket. How about we do a selection of our cartoon character? So I need to select the cartoon character layer that I'm working on, and up the top here of our left hand toolbar is a magic wand tool. It might appear as quick selection tool, but I want you to hold down that bottom right arrow and choose magic wand tool. The keyboard shortcut, as you can see, is W. Now when I click on one area of my character, it selects all the neighboring pixels that are the same color or within the same range. So it's selected all the black parts of the character, but it didn't select the mouth and the eye. So I'm going to go up here and click on this contiguous button. It'll appear on the top toolbar, and this time I'm going to select black again, and it's selected all the black areas. Now this makes a selection around those pixels. As you can see, there's a dotted line that looks like marching ants in parade. I'll make a new layer, and so with that new layer selected, that selection is an area that I can either paint in or use for part of my design. So let's choose a color that's going to look good against that blue, and I might go for a purple color. I'll select that purple, go to my paint bucket, and just drop it in there. Now as you can see, it's purple, but it's also got a second layer of our Felix because we worked on a selection. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate a similar thing. I'm going to go and turn that off and go back to Felix. Control D will deselect your selection. Go to Magic Wand. I want to select just his face. So when I click there, as you can see, it selects all the empty areas. So I have to turn contiguous on. Control deselect, and I just want the face. So I've selected that part of his face, and I want the other part. So to select more than one area, I hold down Shift, and I've got two selections. And now I can make either a new layer or go up to this purple one, and I might want to put white in here. So I'll select white and my paint bucket, which is G on my keyboard, or selecting it over here, and I can drop that into those areas. So as you can see, using wand, And let's make that a bright pink tongue. And paint bucket, I can do lots of selections of different areas. Now, that looks pretty good for the moment. What I might do is one more selection and we'll do our repetition for the background. So this time I need to use my wand, W on the keyboard. I don't want to just select one black area, so I have to switch contiguous off. I've got all those black areas and I'm going to make a repetition of my Felix. So first thing I need to do is make a new layer. I'm going to call this repetition. Make sure the purple layer is off so I can see it, and I want to choose a color, so I'm going to use a close to blue color so it's similar to the one I had. I might choose this one, and I'll drop the color in with my paint bucket, G. Alright, so Control D will deselect that now. What I'd like to do is make this smaller, so Control T was my transform tool and I hold Shift to scale it down. So let's put one here and hit enter. Now what I want to do is move that behind the black layer so it doesn't sit in front of my main Felix. To duplicate, I'm going to choose the selection tool in the top left, and as I click on my character, I'm holding down Alt and it's duplicating. As you can see here, it's making copies on the side. So it's also telling me if the gap is the same between each of my characters. So I don't mind if it goes off because it looks like it's continuous. Now I want to select the layer that I just made and hold Control and select the other 4 layers and right click and merge just those selected layers. As you can see, all my repetitions are their own layer. I can move them simultaneously, and I can also hold down Alt and duplicate them. So I might duplicate with an offset. Looks like I'm going to need a spare Felix coming in up here and maybe there. Alright, as you can see, I've got my repetition happening. I'm going to merge these again, so I'll select that top layer and hold Shift this time and select the bottom layer, and it will select all them, merge all those layers, and I have my repetition. Let's turn on that top version of Felix, and my pop art piece is coming together very nicely. We'll continue with the next clip in a moment.